Hello, this is T-Cat from T-Cat's Deep Vinyl Tracks. Wanted to do a video in response to the thread that Glen Kellaway from the Basement started on his channel. Just a shout out to him. He's got a great channel out there. Love to see the stuff that he shows. And he's also getting into a lot of Canterbury lately. But really a fun channel, and he did this, started this thread probably about a week ago or something like that, where he picked out 11 of his favorite tracks that are 11 minutes or longer. So I thought I would do that. I've seen a couple of people respond to that, and this is my response. Now, I'm not doing this in a top 11 or anything like that because there's so many long form tracks that I really love. But I do want to show you some of my favorites, and it would take way too long for me to show all of them. And whether they're my top 11 or not, I can't say for sure. Today they are, tomorrow it might be something else. So with that in mind, I want to go through these. The first one is Vangelis, Heaven and Hell. This album, it is comprised of one single track, split in two parts, to put them on one side each. And it is probably one of my favorite Vangelis tracks. Really love this one. It's see the label, RCA label, Victor. And there is a section on here called So Long Ago, So Clear, which has lyrics, and John Anderson from Yes is singing. I believe this might have been the first collaboration between Vangelis and John Anderson. They, of course, produced a bunch of albums together. I think there was 3, actually. And this particular album also has a lot of help from the English chamber choir. There's a lot of vocalization on this, along with very dramatic, almost orchestral passages by Vangelis. And it's all composed by Vangelis, everything performed except for the vocals by John Anderson and the English chamber choir. So, great stuff if you're looking for Vangelis. I would say Heaven and Hell is probably his best album, though I really love all of his albums. I've got quite a few of them, actually. Another one, I've shown this CD before, but I'm showing it again, Fish. And there's a track on here called The Divided Sky, which is 11 minutes and 50 seconds. This album gives you, this track gives you a really good feel of what Fish sounds like when they're live, and the way they can play off of each other, the way they improvise, just how well they work together. And this was in their beginning. I mean, this was their first CD. So you can imagine after so many years how much better they've gotten over the years with this. But great track, The Divided Sky. The one that follows it is also really good. David Bowie is the name of it, and it's 11 minutes long. It's 10 minutes and 59 seconds, so it's 1 second below. So I guess it doesn't count. But there's also Fluff's Travels, which is 11 minutes and 35 seconds. All great tracks, but The Divided Sky is probably one of my favorites by Fish. Porcupine Tree is another one that I really love, another band that I love. This album is called The Sky Moves Sideways, and to me it is it's probably the closest thing to Pink Floyd than any other band has come. The title track, The Sky Moves Sideways, comes in 2 phases, and these 2 phases are split by 3 shorter tracks. But the first phase is 18 minutes and 39 seconds. The second phase is 16 minutes and 48 seconds. Now this particular issue, which the case is starting to tear in half, so I don't want to open it up too much, but this particular issue has a second CD which includes an alternate version of The Sky Moves Sideways, and it's all in one track, so it's 34 minutes long. Just a beautiful, beautiful track, and one that I highly recommend if you're looking for some great Porcupine Tree, where they were in between their experimental and between their experimental phase and their more heavy prog phase. This is probably the best one, The Sky Moves Sideways. Of course, I got to show one that Glen showed, because it's also, this one I could say is my #1 track of all time. Comes off of King Crimson's Red. Starless is the name of the track. Oh man, what can you say about that? It's just a simply beautiful track. Done so well. This one is on the pink label. It's a reissue. It's not the original, but it's a very good reissue. But Starless starts out as a beautiful ballad sung by John Wetton and develops into this crazy, just amazing track as it goes on. There's a bit of chaos in there. That's okay. I like the chaos, the chaotic feeling. It just kind of, it keeps like it develops, then it falls apart into this chaotic sound, and then it just comes all back together. And when it keeps coming back together, it's like resolved so well. It's just so hard to top that track. Another one that comes close, also in King Crimson's discography, and that would be all of the Lark's Tongues in Aspic parts. This album is called Lark's Tongue in Aspic, and it has the first 2 parts. The other 2 parts were on later albums. But the first part is over 13 minutes, and interestingly enough is more orchestral sounding than the rest of them. The other parts are more guitar heavy, and you hear that in part 2. But Lark's Tongues in Aspic, the first one goes over 13 minutes. If you put them all together, then you would have probably somewhere around 40 minutes of music, I guess. I don't know. That is if you add level 5 to the other 2 parts. A lot of people do consider the track level 5 as being part 5. Okay, another band that I really love is Yes. This is their drama album, and the track Machine Messiah. What an amazing track. I'm just looking at it. It's 10 minutes and 27 seconds, so it's not quite 11 minutes, but I just have to show it as one of my favorites. I love drama, even though John Anderson wasn't with the band at the time. They'd gone through some major changes, yet they carried on the amazing musicianship and everything that Yes was famous for. But Machine Messiah is just so full of dynamics all the way through it. Goes from really harsh, loud, heavy guitar to soft and soothing passages, and just flows between them so naturally. It's another beautiful one. And then I have to add another one from Yes, from their Tales from Topographic Oceans. This has become my favorite Yes album. It was really hard for it to get there, though. It's a very dense album, and there are 4 sides to it, but every side has one track in it. The first side has the track The Revealing Science of God, and that is the one that I would put down as one of my favorites, my favorite long form, and it's a 20-minute track. Just amazing as they go from almost a chant in the beginning, and it builds so many different melodies and revisits different themes all throughout, and that's how all of them are on that particular album. Kind of like the way Close to the Edge was, but now you've got 4 tracks that are all album-sided tracks, and it is a little dense and hard to get into at first, but once this starts to penetrate, you realize how amazing it really is. This next one is not an album yet, but it will be sometime later this year. However, it has been released on video for quite some time, and it comes from the concert. The name of the video is Okonokos by My Morning Jacket. This entire concert is just quite amazing, but the track, well, there are 2 tracks that kind of go together here for me, Dante and Run Through. Both of them, Dante is over 11 minutes, Run Through is just barely under 10 minutes, or 11 minutes, and those 2 tracks together are just quite amazing, especially in concert. Run Through especially, it breaks down into this psychedelic jam kind of thing, and then suddenly just comes together again. And when the music stops after the psychedelic part and the riff from the beginning begins again, it's almost like, wow, what a powerful feeling it has. But I can't wait for this one to come out on vinyl. But as for now, I have to show this one because the vinyl will consist of this entire concert by My Morning Jacket. Just an amazing concert. I would show Godspeed You Black Emperor. I would show a different album, which would be F sharp, A sharp Infinity. But since I've already shown that one, and somebody else has already nominated Dead Flag Blues as one of their favorite 11-minute tracks, I thought I'd better pick another one. Mainly because Godspeed You Black Emperor has so many great long-form tracks. This particular one comes from their EP, and I can never remember the name of it till I look. Slow Riot for New Zero Canada is the name of the album, the EP. There's the back of it. This particular EP has been elected as the top EP of all time on Rate Your Music, and has been for several different years. The second track on the B-side is, I think, around 13 minutes on here. It's just called BBF3, but the BBF is actually the name of the person that's doing some vocal, not really doing vocals, but he's speaking at the first of the track. A very apocalyptic sound on this track. Just goes through so many different moods, but it just flows so smoothly along. And now you notice on this side it's 33 RPM. The other side is a 10-minute track, which is Moya, another favorite, and it's at 45 RPM. So when you're playing this EP, you've got to pay attention to what speed you've got the record on, depending on which side you are. Okay, and this is a nice little insert that comes with it. I've got to show Pink Floyd Animals, as it has one of my all-time favorite tracks on it, which is Dogs. That takes up almost the entire side of side one. This is the remastered version. There's so many Pink Floyd fans out there. I think most everybody is familiar with that track. But again, it's a track that goes through so many different moods, has so much dynamic on it, louds and softs throughout, and everything just flows so beautifully together. So that's the remastered version of it, Animals. And last but definitely not least, this is a band that their first two albums were quite amazing prog albums. Everything they put out after that moved more towards a commercial sound. Not that it was bad until, around the 80s when things all started to sound the same with this band. But their second album is one of my favorite all-time albums, and that's Electric Light Orchestra. This is 2. Like I said, the first 2 albums they put out were very progressive. This one out of the 2 is my all-time favorite, and this is after Ron Wood had left the band, and Jeff Lynne was in charge of everything at this time. Ron Wood, from what I understood, actually played on a couple of the tracks, but I don't see his name listed here, so I don't know if it was taken off because of contractual issues or what the deal was. Anyway, moving on to my favorite over 11-minute tracks. I would have to go with this amazingly beautiful track, Kuiyama, Kuiama. It's 11 minutes and 14 seconds. Side 2 of this album only has 2 tracks on it. That one and the 8-minute From the Sun to the Edge of the World, Boogie Number 1, which is actually another favorite ELO song of mine, making this a perfect side. Now, Kuiyama, or however you pronounce it, is probably the only political statement that Electric Light Orchestra ever made. The track is an anti-war track, and it fits in beautifully with the garbage that's going on in the world today. Tells a story of war, how somebody had to go through a terrible decision of whether they should kill a child or just let it pass. And man, it just hits home. And it goes through, again, so many different moods and everything. I can't believe this track isn't considered one of the best tracks of all time. It's a little hard to get used to, especially if you're familiar with Electric Light Orchestra's later output. But again, it's one of those tracks that the more you listen to it, the more beautiful it becomes. So anyway, I've gone on for a lot longer than I expected to. I love talking about prog, and most of these are progressive bands. Most of them, not all. But 11-minute tracks or more are quite easy to find in the prog world. So there are so many others that I would love to have shown, but of course I don't have time, and I've already reached 11. So anyway, thank you for watching, and we will be talking to you later.